God's appointed feast, and this one particular one is Passover. I'm just going to give some background information on this for the Lord's feast, His observance, Passover education. So this is from Leviticus 21, verses 1 through 5. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them concerning the feast of the Lord, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations, even these are my feast. 6 days shall work be done, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of rest, and holy convocation ye shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of the Lord in all your dwellings. These are the feasts of the Lord, even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their seasons. And the 14th day of the first month at even is the Lord's Passover. So with this, going back to the beginning, this is commands or instructions that God gave to Moses. Moses, the man of God. And then, Moses is supposed to deliver this message to the children of Israel, and say to them concerning the feast of the Lord. So I underline that because these are God's feasts that he passed down to Moses. Moses passed down to the children of Israel. Okay. Which he shall proclaim to be holy convocations. Even these are my feasts. So once again, these are God's feasts, his appointed times. Okay. So, and that's what feasts are, or what this word feast means when you translate it back to the Hebrew. It is appointed times or seasons when things are supposed to happen. So God gave instructions about when things are supposed to happen. So here, 6 days shall work be done, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of rest. So on the seventh day, every week, is the day of rest. It's a holy convocation. Ye shall do no work therein is the Sabbath of the Lord in all your dwellings. So this once again is God's time that he appointed from even before, he gave these instructions to Moses, if you read in Genesis, what is it, chapter 1 or beginning of chapter 2? It's beginning of chapter 2, where it says, on the seventh day that God rested from all the work that he had done. So this was instituted long before, from the very beginning, okay? That this day, on the seventh day of rest. And here he's blessing his people with this, okay? So these are the feast of the Lord, even holy convocations. And then ye shall proclaim in their season. So feast, once again, appointed times, or appointments with God, and then they have a certain season when those are to be observed, or again, once again, an appointed time for the appointed time. And then here come holy convocations, basically being rehearsals, okay, or times where God's people are called together for an assembly, for a reading of whatever the instruction is. In this case, it is the observance of God's holy appointed times. So in the 14th day of the first month at even is the Lord's Passover. Well, we are this is our fourth month of the year according to the calendar that we're on, and it is the 23rd day of that month. But when we look at God's calendar, it is the first month, okay, of the year, starting last night, yesterday at evening, and the 14th day of that month. Sorry, the month didn't start, but the 14th day, the Passover started last night. Okay. Any questions, comments, concerns? There's some instructions for carrying out the Passover. I'm just going to read through these verses and I'll go back and look at them. This is Exodus 12, 1 through 11. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, In the 10th day of this month they shall take to them every man a lamb according to the house of his fathers, a lamb for an house. And if the household be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbors next unto his house, take it according to the number of the souls. Every man according to his eating shall make your count for the lamb. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. Ye shall take it out from the sheep or from the goats. Ye shall keep it up until the 14th day of the same month, and the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening. And they shall take of the blood and strike it on the two side posts and on the upper doorpost of the house, wherein they shall eat it. And they shall eat the flesh, and that night roast with fire and unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs they shall eat it. Eat not of it raw or sodden at all with water, but roast with fire, his head with his legs, and with the purtenance thereof. And ye shall let nothing of it remain until the morning, and that which remaineth of it in the morning ye shall burn with fire. And thus shall ye eat it with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand. And ye shall eat it in haste. It is the Lord's Passover. So lots of instructions for this particular feast, but I'm going to just go back and look at some things. So this is the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt. So remember, land of Egypt, Egypt being a house of bondage. So this is a place where the children of Israel were in captivity for, if I remember correctly, 430 years.
Mm.
So this was their place of captivity, but the Lord is giving them instructions for their exodus. So when they leave out, when their exit of Egypt. This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. So we already talked about that. We saw that in the Leviticus part where God was giving them the law after they were out of this captivity. Speak ye unto all the congregation, saying, in the 10th day of this month they shall take to them every man a lamb. So remember in the other verses, it said on the 14th day, you kill the lamb, the whole congregation will kill the lamb. Where you get the lamb on the 10th day and you observe it to make sure that there's no deficiencies or defects with it. So basically without spot or blemish, this lamb has to be. So they observe it for 4 days. I guess also to make sure that nothing happens to it as well. So on the 10th day, they do that. And according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for an house. So if your household is too small, y'all can't eat a whole lamb in one day, then you share it with your neighbor. Okay. Every man according to his eating shall make count for the lamb. So, if y'all small but y'all eat a lot, y'all keep your lamb. All right, but if y'all small and don't eat much, go ahead and share it with your neighbor. Don't try to hold on to that lamb. Okay, your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. You shall take it out from the sheep or from the goats. So I thought this part right here was major, or just a foreshadowing, of us seeing Christ in this, because we do call him the Lamb of God. He is the Lamb of God.
Mm.
And in this verse here, and I'm actually even pointing back to the verse. No, I'm sorry, we're still at this one, verse 5. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year, and you shall take it out from the sheep or from the goats. Well, we remember that Jesus was without sin, so he's without spot or blemish. His record is good. Okay, it's better than good. His record is excellent. Okay, and then you shall take it out from the sheep. So basically, here once again, seeing him, he was taken out from among his people,
Mm.
Israel. Right, he was the chosen one. He was the one that had been prophesied, that he would come and redeem his people Israel. So this was a foreshadowing or a looking forward to that, or prophecy of that that was to come. Okay, because remember he wasn't born till many, 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 many years after that. Okay. And ye shall keep it up until the 14th day of the same month, and the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening. So even here, Christ was crucified. And it wasn't strangers. It wasn't strangers that did it, right? So it was basically his own people that he came to redeem. Okay. And they shall take of the blood and strike it on the two side posts and on the upper doorposts of the house, wherein they shall eat it. So here, this was also what happened when, remember, when the plagues were coming upon Egypt, the Egyptians, and the children of Israel had to put the blood on the two sides of the door, the two side posts, and on the upper post of the door, so that the angel of death would pass by. And that's the same thing happening here, the Passover, so that it would pass by. So in remembrance of that, they carry out that same thing. Okay, so that the angel of death can pass by the children of Israel. And even now, looking at, what Christ has done, or his redemptive work that he's done for us and in us, that, by his blood, we are healed. You know, all those things, whatever, pass by us, be it unto us according to our faith. Verse 8 here, and ye shall eat the flesh, and that night roast with fire and unleavened bread and with bitter herbs, they shall eat it. So here, depending on, what you read and look at, this part right here is supposed to symbolize him dying and going down to hell, for once again, that redemptive work that he was doing. Like he went and took, was it the keys of hell and death? So that's what he did. And then here, the unleavened bread, and we'll look at that part a little bit more closely, but that leavened bread is representing sin, and you see that more in the New Testament. It tells what that, so you have to have unleavened bread for this feast. So basically bread with no yeast. And I think the instructions were they remove all those things from their house like the week of. So in preparation for this feast, they got to get all the yeast, all the things containing yeast out of their house, like in the trash, burned, done, not riding around with it in your car or somewhere or in your garage. Like you get rid of those things. So basically that's like the purifying of your life. And then here, the bitter herbs, they shall eat it. So once again, depends on where you read or who you read from. These herbs were supposed to symbolize remember the vinegar that Christ had while he was on the cross. So it's supposed to be symbolic of that. And also, depending on what you read, then it's symbolic of, the bitter taste left in their mouth after their bondage in Egypt. Because they're like, remember, or I don't even know if I said that, but like even that time in Egypt was supposed to be basically sort of like a representation of how sin grips us, sin in our lives grips us. It's a place of bondage for us until we are free from it. And only Christ can do that for us. So it's a bitter representation of, sorry, a bitter reminder of those things.